Srinagar, still, empty, almost lifeless. A deceptive quiet cloaking the dark storms that have hit the valley. A city that wonders when the clouds may pass and when the sun may shine again. A city that is now under the watchful eye of the Indian Army. 17 columns of the army were called onto the streets at the crack of dawn after a week of fragile peace was ripped open by a fresh spate of civilian deaths in clashes between protesters and security forces just yesterday. A grim chief minister then worked the phone lines to Delhi and made it clear now was the time to use the last line of defense. It's been a violence-free day in Srinagar today ever since the army was deployed at the crack of dawn to enforce a curfew and restore a sense of control in the city of Srinagar. So the opposition here is already targeting the Omar Abdullah government, saying deploying the army is going to make things worse, not better. Will the deployment of the army help or will it harm the situation in Jammu and Kashmir?
Question is, day in and day out, we are losing teenagers, Kashmiri youth to blood. How long can Omar Abdullah watch and sit?
Mehboob Beg Saab, if I may interrupt you, you are asking for the restoration of autonomy. You are acknowledging the political alienation of the people in the valley. You are acknowledging the anger of the Kashmiri youth. Why then, Mehboob Beg Saab, did you not seek a political approach to this at this point? Why did you feel it was necessary to bring in the army?
No, right now you have to look at the situation. Right now you have to bring the situation under control. You have to see the Kashmiri blood which is getting spilled on every street of Kashmir.
In the last couple of months, because of the trouble here, we've actually seen schools shut down. And you run a Montessori school. So just at a human level first, how upsetting has it been for you that you haven't actually been able to keep your school open?
Well, we have to remember that the core issue here is not education, rather the human rights violations.
The disputed territory known as Kashmir is a failed diplomacy, from the first Indo-Pakistani War of 1948 to more recent threats like Al-Qaeda. Kashmir has proven to have many negative repercussions, not only to India and Pakistan, but on an international level of diplomacy. The conflict over Kashmir started before the existence of Pakistan. In 1858, the India Act transfers power to the British government, giving them control over a unified India. Led by Mahatma Gandhi and his protege Jawaharlal Nehru, India freed themselves from the British without firing a single shot. They had full independence on August 15, 1947. However, at the same time, India and Pakistan were separated. This separation was majorly influenced by two religious groups, Hindus and Muslims. These two groups were on opposite sides of a great chasm. When the British had control over India, they separated the Muslims and the Hindus. Even in the census, they had populations characterized according to religion. The British were also fearful of the Muslims and the threat they posed as previous rulers of the land. To coax them to their side, Britain assisted in establishing the MAO College and endorsed the All India Muslim Conference. They were both organizations that created the Muslim League. The League was put on a separate electorate from its creation. The separation of the Muslims had already been seated in the electoral process of India. The Muslim people used to control India when it was under the rule of the Mughal Empire. Hindu revivalists deepened the chasm. They resented the Muslim people for their former control. These and many other causes led to the Muslim League to believe that the division of India was necessary. Many of them believed that the separate home for the Muslim people was required. Their separation led to the partition of India and the creation of the bordering country of Pakistan. Kashmir was trapped between the two, an area born of war and partition.
This conflict started with two different things. During the British rule of India, there were some princely states that were not ruled over by the British. For example, Kashmir and Hyderabad. When India achieved independence, they were given a choice: become a part of India or become a part of Pakistan. In Hyderabad, the ruler wanted to become a part of Pakistan. The people, however, wanted to join India. So India sent in their army to take Hyderabad by force. Now, for Kashmir to Jawaharlal Nehru, who was also from Kashmir, wanted to make Kashmir a part of India. The people of Kashmir, however, wanted to join Pakistan. During the independence, the two areas known as Jammu and Kashmir became one state. The people of the area of Kashmir didn't want to join India. They wanted Pakistan. The population of Jammu, which was mostly Hindu, raised the overall verdict of the people in favor of India, thus making Jammu and Kashmir a part of India. The back and forth over Kashmir just continued constantly. Today, however, a lot of the people in Kashmir want it to liberate both from Pakistan and from India.
After 200 years of being controlled by the British, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi fought passively for the freedom of India in a way not yet used or seen. In the process of freedom from the British, the nation was partitioned between the religions of Islam and Hinduism, creating the Dominion of Pakistan for the people of Islam and giving the land of Kashmir to India.
Kashmir is a disputed territory because it is controlled by India, Pakistan, and also China. However, India and Pakistan are the main contributors to the conflict, which is proven by the acts of Al-Qaeda and the Indo-Pakistani wars. Since 1970, 4,108 attacks by terrorist organizations like Al-Qaeda have been recorded, causing immeasurable casualties as well as fatalities. These tensions between India and Pakistan have almost started a nuclear war between the countries. And because of the attacks by Al-Qaeda on India, India continues to blame Pakistan. And because of this, the terrorist organizations have been said to be trying to start a nuclear war between the countries. Kashmir plays into this because a lot of the terrorist organizations have been said to be stationed in the Kashmiri land.
Kashmir itself isn't a failed diplomacy, but the conflicts between India and Pakistan over Kashmir have proven to be just that. And the debate over full control over Kashmir has yet to be settled. If one country were to get full control over Kashmir, the act of terrorism would be settled. The only reason Kashmir is such a good attack station is because it is convoluted and not in control of any one country, so it is easy for organizations like Al-Qaeda to use it as a base. Also, full control over Kashmir would mean the country would have full possession over Kashmir's mineral resources, such as iron ores, limestone, and marble.
The debate over Kashmir has lasted for over 60 years. It started after the Indian Revolution and India took control over Kashmir. Then, in 1948, the first Indo-Pakistani war was underway. The two countries formed an agreement and ceased fire. This was later named the Line of Control. Then again, India and Pakistan went back to war, and again the war ends, with an agreement to stick to the Line of Control. The tensions rose so high that President Clinton himself visited India to try and ease the situation. Then, on November 19, 2000, Atal Bihari Vajpayee called a meeting to form a solution to the Kashmiri problem. But then, Pervez Musharraf, a general in the Pakistani military, took over presidency from the former president Rafiq Tarar and issued an executive order giving himself boundless powers. These two people met and tried to reach an agreement, but they could not. And to this day, the two countries have still not come to a consensus. All of these disagreements between the countries have led to death and have not resolved the issue at hand. And still, the people of Kashmir have to live a horrendous life, living in fear and poverty.
Gandhi always provoked concord between the religions of Islam and Hinduism, and because of this thought, he was murdered. His murder started the division of the two religions, and this division started the conflict over Kashmir. Kashmir has only had negative repercussions, and the people of Kashmir have had to deal with this crisis. The failed diplomacy by the countries of Pakistan and India have hurt many lives, not only in that region, but on an international level. And even now, the debate continues.